Rock and come in, baby, oh, baby, me say rock and come in.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitney and I'm here to provide you a natural hair content. So today I am going to be giving you 5 high porosity hair tips. If you want to see some tips that I use for my normal to high porosity hair, just keep watching. Alright, so let's just get into it. Tip number 1 would be to alternate between moisture and protein treatments. So I would say using protein treatments anywhere from 2 to 3 times a month, and protein treatment maybe 2 to or 1 time per month would be the best balance for somebody that may have high porosity hair. If you are somebody who has high porosity hair, but you have high porosity hair because of damage, so color damage, chemical damage, heat damage, etc., using protein treatments maybe 2 times a month, you would probably see more benefits. If you're going to use it anything more than 2 times a month, I would say maybe mix your protein treatment with your moisture treatment. That way you get kind of a balance. Tip 2 would be to use 2 to 3 products for styling. I typically, like I've said in my previous videos, usually only use 2 products at most. Sometimes I'll use 3, but for the most part it's usually 2. So I usually use a leave-in and then a cream, or a leave-in and a gel. Now if you're the type of person that has really thick hair, then maybe using 2 to 3 products might help with your styling process. Also, if you realize that you're using like 4 or 5 products, maybe it's because some of your styling products are not as moisturizing, which means that they might be lightweight, and maybe you should look into trying to find a product that might be a little more heavy in its consistency compared to the ones that you're using at the moment, so that way you're using less products. But apart from that, usually 2 to 3 stylers should work. And usually when I say 2 to 3 stylers, I mean like the first 2, one is your moisturizer, so your leave-in or your cream, and then the second one will be either your cream or your gel. And for the third one, I would say maybe an oil. So like an oil usually would be to seal in your products, also for you to break your cast if you have one because you've used gel. Tip 3 would be to stay away from direct heat. If you're somebody who's suffering from heat damage, this tip would probably be number 1 for you. If you are trying to get back the health of your hair, like you're trying to do everything that you can along with your deep conditioners, staying away from direct heat would help you and would benefit the most if you are trying to basically get your hair back to normal. Now, you can use heat. So typically I tell you in my videos, or you'll see me in my videos, at least in my deep conditioning video, where I'll put a heating cap on my head, and that would not be considered direct heat. Direct heat is usually using straightening tools, curling wands, hot combs. If you're using the hair dryer without a diffuser cap, that would be considered more so direct heat to your hair, and that will in time eventually kind of damage your hair, or you might see that your hair is damaged. Or you even hot showers, if you let hot water run on your hair, that can also create heat damage. I personally have suffered from heat damage in a sense where the back of my right side would be very frizzy, and no matter what I would do, if I use the shingling method, if I use a Denman brush, if I use extra gel, it would just always be frizzy in that one particular area. So by lowering the temperature of my showers, I did realize that my hair kind of has gone back to normal and there isn't that problem. I do still sometimes get that problem, and that's usually when I take really hot showers. So it's kind of like it's instantaneous that I will get that fizzing effect right after when I'm doing my styling process. So tip 4 would be to keep your hair moisturized. Now, there's usually like 2 different methods that you can use. So you can use the LOC method or the LCO method. So the LOC method would be liquid, oil, and then a cream, whereas the LCO is liquid, cream, and oil. So typically, if I'm ever doing a twist out, or even mini twist, and I want to keep my hair moisturized, I usually use the LCO method. So I'll use my leave-in, so that can be considered the L. So either liquid or a leave-in, so water or a leave-in would be considered your LCO method. And then I'll use a cream, and then I'll use an oil to seal in my products so that the moisture is sealed into my hair, and basically I'm able to keep those twists without them drying out in for a much longer period of time. So the LOC method would be the same thing. It's just that you're using liquid or a leave-in, and then an oil, and then a cream to complete your process. If you're the type of person that does like to do that just on a general basis when you're styling your hair, that is okay as well. So that's where the 2 to 3 products come in. So if you're using a leave-in, a cream, and then an oil, those are your 3 products. If you're using a leave-in, a cream, and then a gel, then those would be your 3 products as well, but you wouldn't be using the LCO or the LOC method. So those are 2 things that you can look into. If you do want to know a little more about the difference, I can do a video on each side of my head showing you which side I find retains more moisture doing those 2. So let me know down in the comments. Also, if you do use those type of methods, let me know also in the comments. Or last and final tip would be to use water throughout your styling process. Personally, if I do my hair on dry hair, I find that I have a lot more breakage. I don't find that the final result comes out nice. So if I'm styling my hair with wet hair, I find that the products absorb into my hair a lot better, as well as they keep the style longer compared to if I do it when it's dry. If I'm doing my hair while it's dry, I find that once again I'm gonna have a lot more breakage, I'm gonna see a lot more shedding. I just find it a lot more difficult for me to personally do my hair when it's dry. Also, I find that my hair gets a lot more tangled easily. So if I'm using wet hair, my hair seems to be untangled throughout the whole process, whereas if it's dry, it's kind of like my curls are starting to now wrap around each other more because they're in the process of drying, so they're kind of shrinking up, and that's when my strands wrap around each other. So for me, detangling when my hair is dry is a no-no, unless of course I'm trying to like straighten my hair, or not really straighten but stretch my hair. Then that would be the only time that I'd probably use a pick to go through a styling process while my hair is dry. Apart from that, my hair will always be wet while I'm detangling or styling my hair, unless of course it's something like a high puff, but even then I do spritz some water around the perimeter of my hair to do that style. So I always incorporate water into my styling processes, and I find it just makes it a whole lot easier. So if you're somebody who has high porosity hair, using water may be something that will benefit you as well while you're doing your styling process, compared to if you're doing it when your hair is dry. If you are the type of person that does it when it's dry, maybe try doing your hair while it's wet, see how it works, how the styling process goes. Take into consideration or take note of how much hair you might lose, how much hair is breaking off, and then from there you can choose which method would be better for you. Of course, everybody's hair is different, so these hair tips don't necessarily apply to everybody that has high porosity hair, but these are tips that I use in my regular regime all the time. So if you use these tips as well, or even other tips that you may have, comment them down below, and also like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Later.